Let me tell you the story of a general who tries and epically fails, I might add, to cheat death. His name was General Shinui. He was born to this prestigious Pyeongsan Min clan in Korea's Chilguk County a long time ago. The thing was, he was born under this Mount Guimo, which was considered to be very auspicious, and because of that, people always had this expectation of greatness when it came to Shinui. And he lived up to it. He grew up to be this fine young man and then eventually into this great general. He was revered and applauded everywhere that he went. But even with all of this, General Shinwi's main goal in life was to essentially cheat death. And he goes to almost extreme lengths to make sure that happens. He has his servants plant orange trees all around his property because oranges were thought to ward off evil. And as if that wasn't enough, he wore a silver pin on his top hat, and he even had his will written up to say that if, a very big if, but if he were to die, his family would not bury him until a week after his death. And then he seals it in a safe and secure location. Time goes by, Shinui grows older, and when the time came for the Jeoseung Saja to come reap his soul, they realize they cannot enter his house. And that's when they see all the orange trees that are lining his property, and the Saja realize what is happening. Shinui wanted to cheat death, but the Saja, they were anything if not patient. So they wait, and they wait, for about 4 days, thinking of a way to enter the property. And on the 4th day, they see this peach tree beside the property. You see, peaches are considered to be these plants of evil, which meant the Saja could actually come in contact with them. So, the Saja climb onto the branches of the peach tree, and they use it as leverage to go over the orange trees that line the property and enter Shinui's house. For the Saja, one part of the challenge was now complete. Now, they just had to go and reap his soul. But the moment they come closer to Shinui, they see the silver pin on Shinwi's top hat. So yeah, they entered his property, but they still couldn't reap Shinwi's soul because the silver pin keeps warding them off. So they wait under the floorboards of the house because according to them, how long could Shinwi wear the top hat and be protected by that silver? So they hide under the floorboards of the house and they wait and then wait a little longer until one day Shinwi removes the top hat to wash his face. And just at that moment, when the silver pin was no longer protecting Shinwi, the Saja springs up from the floorboard where they were hiding, hits Shinwi with a hammer, and then reaps his soul. But Shinwi was determined to not stay dead. The minute he is taken to the underworld, he starts fighting the Gekui, which are like these ghosts that roam the underworld and the mortal realm. So he starts fighting them using all the knowledge from his time as a general and fights off these Gekui. But by the time his soul makes his way into the mortal realm, he realizes that his family has already buried his body, which is not only weird right now because it had not been an entire week since he had died, but it turns out that he hid his will so well that his family did not know what was in it. So the day that he died was also the day that his family buried his body, and he was too late. So even though his soul was now in his mortal body, that mortal body was now buried under a mound of earth. So essentially, he suffocates again and dies again. That was the story of General Shinwi and how the Jeoseung Saja came by to reap his soul. It is a Korean folktale that is basically used as a metaphor to show that it is pointless to fight fate, and that even fate catches up to those that are powerful and skilled like General Shinwi, that they cannot even escape it because fate is inevitable. But seriously though, could you escape the Jeoseung Saja if it ever came to it? Their name even alludes to what they are. Jeoseung meaning the afterworld or the land of the dead, and Saja meaning the messenger. So Jeoseung Saja essentially mean the messengers of the underworld. You see, the Jeoseung Saja, they share their roots in Buddhist and some Taoist philosophies, and some Korean folktales. In these mythologies, they act more like the Grim Reaper that escorts souls. Whether the souls are good or bad, it doesn't matter. They escort the souls of the departed into the underworld, where those souls are then judged by the king of the underworld. Unlike the Western version of the Grim Reaper, where there is only one that escorts the soul, in the Korean mythology, the Jeoseung Saja are more like this bureaucratic class within the spiritual realm. It's more like a job, I guess, and so there could be more than one of them, and hence the boy band. Basically, when the time comes for a person's soul to be reaped, one of the Saja is assigned the task of reaping the person's soul and then bringing them to the god of the dead. In the mythology, the Saja are mostly depicted as this male figure that is tall with really, really pale complexion and sunken eyes. They wear this dark hanbok, which is this traditional Korean clothing, and top it off with a dark top hat. Yes, I know what you're thinking, they look like the Saja Boys. They have these formidable powers because they are essentially reaping the souls from the mortal realm and then taking them to the land of the dead. The Saja can travel between these different realms. They can sense impending deaths, and because they can sense these deaths, they can appear before the people that are dying and right before the person's soul is reaped. And because of that, people state they can sense the Saja at places like the hospitals or cemeteries or sites of accidents. Even though the jobs of the Saja is grim, the Jeoseung Saja are not considered to be malevolent. Their job is more like trying to maintain the balance of the cosmos. And in some folktales, they even show empathy to the dead soul. They give the soul a little more extra time in the mortal world just to sort out the unfinished business. Which is kind, I guess, but also would make a really amazing drama, by the way. Just imagine the Grim Reaper working with the dead soul to solve the dead person's murder. But then again, a drama like that might already exist, I don't know. But that being said, coming back to the Jeoseung Saja, in Korean mythology, they're mostly solitary figures who just go on about their jobs, escorting their souls. And as solitary as they might be, there are some tales where the Saja are shown to have families. But these familial connections are more so trying to show the connection that they have with the spiritual hierarchies. And so, versions of this Jeoseung Saja are adapted into different media, whether it be in K-dramas like Goblin or movies like K-pop Demon Hunters or even in video games. They are shown to be more than what the myths are told about them. In the media, these Sajas are given more character, more dimension, making them more sympathetic and empathetic, giving the characters families and making them fall in love even. Beyond the entertainment aspect of the Saja, the myth of the Jeoseung Saja continues to shape the Korean customs and beliefs. Some say that seeing a shooting star sometimes means that the Saja was collecting a soul, or that dreaming of the Jeoseung Saja meant that someone was going to die very soon. And that someone doesn't necessarily have to mean the person that actually dreamt of the Saja. So, now, with all this deep dive into the Jeoseung Saja, do you think you can escape from them if they came for you? Would you want to? Especially how most of you seem a little too enchanted with that idea. I'm not judging though. To each their own. One should never be critical of another person's quirks. My question, after all of this though, after the story of the General Shinui and the deep dive into the Jeoseung Saja, what did the peaches ever do to be considered evil? I actually like peaches. They're so sweet and plumpy and amazing. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Until next time, sweet dreams, good night.